So what do I mean to optimize on your life as opposed to your bank account? You know, recently I did a video and I talked about the 4 different types of millionaires and how they got to be millionaires, right? And the category that most of us identified with in the comments, and I shared, you know, I identify with it, is a saver investor, right? We do a good job of saving, we do a good job of investing, and it's kind of the millionaire next door. You know, over time that grows and becomes a nice nest egg. But we have to be careful. So go for a walk with me and let's talk about what we have to be careful of. You know, what we have to be careful of is that we're not giving up too many experiences in our life. You know, it's a journey, and it's a journey designed to be enjoyed. And I shared in the previous video that, you know, the general rule of thumb in the United States is to save 10% of what you make. And I think that's too low. But I also think you have to be careful. It's easy to save too much. There's a movement called FIRE, which is financially independent, retire early. And, you know, there's a lot to be said for that, right? To having your financial freedom in your 30s or your 40s. Boy, imagine the life you could have if you didn't have to work. If the only reason you were working was because you found it enriching in your life. But you also have to be careful because, you know, the FIRE movement really recommends, and I'm not a FIRE expert. Again, the acronym is FIRE, FIRE, financially independent, retire early. You know, one of their mantras is to really pile away the savings early on, you know, up to half of your income. And boy, when you're in your 20s, you know, those are, at least, you know, they were for many of us, those are great years. And if there's fun experiences that you're not doing because you're trying to stock away too much money, I think that has a negative consequence too, right? It's not about racing to get past this finish line. It's about enjoying the journey. So I just caution you to not always optimize on the bank account. You know, you see this sometimes when people are trying to decide on careers, and maybe one job pays a little bit more than the other job. And folks are maybe overweighting on that salary as opposed to, you know, what's the quality of the work that I'm going to be able to do? What's the culture of the company? Am I going to enjoy working there? What is the team like? And as we get older, and most of the viewers of my channels are, you know, from 40 to 70, so we all have a fair amount of life experience. You know, I think one of the things that we learn is, you know, we retire on our memories and those special moments. Those are the things that give us joy, as opposed to our retirement account balances. So that's what I'm talking about, is just trying to balance both enjoying the journey, but also making sure you're financially independent. I do think it's wise to be as financially independent as you can be in your 50s, because, you know, unfortunately, if you lose your job in your 50s, it can be really hard to get another good paying job doing something that you enjoy, right? Unfortunately, there is ageism in the world. And if you're a 20-year-old watching this channel, the ageism is working in your favor right now. But that won't always be the case, right? Those of us that are 50 plus, we know that, you know, if we lost our job, we you know, unless you're a physician or something with a huge amount of demand for your expertise, there's a high likelihood that we could be without a job for a period of time. So trying to get there closer to 50 and enjoying the journey a little bit more. And, you know, another thing that gives people a lot of peace of mind and a lot of joy is paying off their mortgage and paying off their debts by the time they get to their 50s. And that's hard to do, I know. And again, it's a balancing act. It's not just pile away and save for the mortgage. So, you know, oftentimes one spouse is a super saver and the other spouse is not. And if some of you are watching this video with your spouse, probably one of your spouses is jabbing you in your ribs or teasing you right now. In my family, both my wife and I, fortunately, are good savers, but I tend to take more joy in saving than my wife does. So just remember to enjoy the journey. We only get one crack at life. So until next time, I'm Azul, encouraging you to take full advantage of the youth of your senior years. Remember, you're only young once. Use this time wisely.